Hey everybody, it's been an exciting few weeks for us here getting our channel launched, and we've had a lot of love thrown our way, and you know, we actually have had some pretty exciting news to share today.
Absolutely. This last Monday we got a chance to go down to Utah Valley University for their Roots of Knowledge series. They invited the songwriting duo Pasek and Paul. Pasek and Paul have been involved in musicals such as Evan Hansen, Dogfight, and The Christmas Story, and they've written songs for The Greatest Showman and La La Land.
So Pasek and Paul actually stopped here in Utah on their way to California for the Oscars. They were there last year, they won for La La Land, they're nominated this year for Greatest Showman, and we got a chance to ask Justin what he thought about going to the Oscars here again this year.
That we're excited to really be a little more present and really take in every single moment. We'll have our families there, and that's the best part, is sharing it with them and sharing the excitement of it with them. And you know, last year we weren't terribly involved with the number, with the performance from La La Land, and this year we are. We're getting with our choir and with Kayala, choreographer, and really just putting on a show, putting on that number. So that'll be the focus of the week, and it'll be a great way to spend it.
Though This Is Me was the best musical performance of the night.
Without a doubt, it made me bawl the whole time.
It didn't end up winning the Oscars, which was kind of a bummer. But Oscar or not, this song has etched its place in our culture.
So one of the things Pasek and Paul talk about is how basically to get to the final song you see in a movie or in a musical, they actually write a lot of different songs until it feels right. So let's watch this clip to find out what it took to get to This Is Me and how Kayala brought it to life.
We struggled for a while to figure out how to write it, and then we talked to Michael and we said, look, I'm not sure that we can we're having a hard time envisioning this, but what we have a less hard time envisioning is if it's a song for the bearded lady. And it can feel emotional in that way, and you have a voice that is strong and triumphant and fighting against the odds. And that's what Kayala really represented to us. And so as we were writing it, we never imagined that we'd get so lucky that we'd be able to bring her along, that she would get to be in the movie, because so often, you know, it was just our Broadway friends filling in, and we didn't even know if our songs would make it in the film. We certainly didn't know if they'd get to be in the film as well.
It's funny, you know, she will talk about how she spent a long time trying to run from her own talent and run from, you know, being in the spotlight. Because I think the kind of responsibility, or what, you know, what she knew her level of talent commanded, I think was a little bit overwhelming for her. And we feel so lucky that she gets to represent this song.
So The Greatest Showman, that music has connected with people all over the world. And Pasek and Paul have actually already done that with Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway. Check out this clip to find out what it's been like to kind of be a part of that whole thing with the great music of Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway.
You know, we wrote the show and sort of put it out there, but we feel like so much of its ability to touch people and to reach people is via the performances of the actors. And so it's been really amazing to watch the response that they've received. So many of them get letters every single day from young people. They get fan art and people writing stories with those characters that they really feel like they can access those characters. And I think it's because it's the way Stephen, our book writer, wrote them, and it's the way these performers, the original cast in particular, you know, portrayed them on stage and made them feel so real, and made it feel like this is a musical where I can actually connect with these characters, and that actually feels like my life. That feels like real life. That feels like messy and complicated and kind of ugly and broken, and that's what my life is like. So I think people have appreciated being able to watch what feels like their life. We wanted to write something that felt like people could come and say, that's sort of what my family feels like. My family's like messed up and broken, but we love each other and we're trying.
So that's a lot of fun to hear all about Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen has won all of the awards.
All of them!
And this space on my shirt. But it's really neat to hear about their writing process and what they do, what inspires them, and how they write.
Yeah, one of the things they talked about is that they really focus on finding out everything they can about the character, but also about the actor playing the character. So let's dive in right here.
But a lot of times we will envision an actor, and so it's really just, we view it as a collaboration, and you know, there's always some sort of source material to start with. Now that source material can be something that actually did happen in our own lives that we can then bring to the table, or it can be something that's presented by actor, director, screenwriter, book writer, and we all kind of work together to make a song moment and try to make a song moment come to life.
It's really great to be able to hear about what inspires them and how they write. So as we got talking with them, it made me really wonder, you know, They talk a lot about making these moments for their characters, but I want to know what a moment looks like for them. The moment that they described was when they were in DC, and they had just barely got there with their Evan Hansen, and this was the night of the very first preview, the very first time audiences would be seeing the show.
And we had the first song or two, and it was kind of like, can't tell how people are feeling. And then we got to maybe the third or fourth song after the sort of tragic event of the play had happened, and people started laughing. Appropriately, but in a way that we thought, they're just not going to go with it. And they were starting to go with it, and we were just standing in the back of the theater, like whispering to each other, like everything from like, this is amazing, to like, I can't believe these people are actually laughing, what's wrong with them? Like, we were judging ourselves, judging the audience, like having this sort of insane moment at the back of the theater of thinking like, I can't believe this, but I think we might actually not be dead, at least tonight. Like we can have tomorrow, like we can come back to work tomorrow and like not be like, why are we even here? Why do we make all these actors come down to Washington DC? It's 101 degrees with humidity, like what are we doing here? Like we sort of were like, okay, like we didn't ruin everyone's summer. Like we can come back tomorrow, and there's a little bit of a spark, there's a little bit of life to it. So I think that was a big moment for us that really stands out of sort of like, okay, like we might have something, we're not dead yet.
Not only asking them what inspires them, but we wanted to know just what are they listening to every day, and also what inspired the songs in The Greatest Showman.
So a couple things right now. I'm sort of trying to find my way through the Dua Lipa album. Okay, for me, Imagine Dragons is always a go-to. I don't know why, it speaks to me. I'm always, they're local, I know. Yeah, Imagine Dragons actually had a lot more influence than they might think on The Greatest Showman. We were thinking, what can we write that has a lot of emotion behind it, but still sort of maintains muscularity and sort of a visceral kind of feeling, anthemic hope rising. When I think about that, I think about Imagine Dragons. I feel like if you look at some of the songs in The Greatest Showman, a lot of them I think are trying to capture that same feeling. I have actually been listening and sort of, softly weeping in my room to The Band's Visit, which is a new show that's on Broadway this year, with a really gorgeous and unique score by a writer that we both love. So yeah, that's what's on my playlist.
It's good to know that I'm not the only person that has their Imagine Dragons and all their other albums right next to their musical theater albums on their iPhone.
So how cool is that a little band that I saw in college at Club Velour in Provo, Utah, inspired a lot of the music for Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman. Pasek and Paul, they had a ton of great messages to share, and we had a great time interviewing them, but our favorite message actually came during the concert Monday night.
They talked about the differences between a musical theater song and a pop song, and this ended up being one of my favorite messages and analogies. Check it out here.
Here's the thing, that pop songs can either be adjectives or nouns. They're all about how they make you feel, or they're statements of identity, okay? And the difference between a pop song and a theater song is that a theater song is a verb. And when you think about what a theater song does, it starts in one place and it ends in a completely different place. There's an engine behind it. There's motion, there's movement. You're doing something and you're affecting change, right? When we went to University of Michigan, we were like, we have to be actors, we have to be actors. This is what we're going to be. We were operating like pop songs, which are lovely, but we're theater writers, and theater songs are the cooler kind of musical to write. So it dawned on us that instead of thinking this is who I have to be, you start thinking this is what I have to do. And when you start thinking about yourself not as a noun, and not as an adjective, and not as a feeling, not as a thing, but as a doer, as somebody who affects change and makes things, and goes from point A to point B and moves, you realize that you yourself can be a verb. And when you start thinking about yourself like a theater song, like you are a verb, like you have the ability to change the world by changing yourself and moving from one place to another, you realize that unbelievable things are possible. Am I a failure? Am I a failure? Yeah, if I think, oh, I have to continue to be an actress, that's what I said that I was going to be. But guess what? You're allowed to grow, you're allowed to evolve, you're allowed to change, and you're allowed to be a verb. So as you guys go out there...
So I know there's a lot of students here tonight, we know.
Think about life like a musical theater song and continue to grow and change and push. And when you hit obstacles, keep moving past them and realize that you never have to be stuck being who you said you were. You can be whatever you choose to do in the future. That will make you who you are. It's a very powerful thing.
Be a doer, affect change, make something.
Yeah. those words could not ring more true for us. Like, who would have thought we started this little vlog a few months ago, and now we freaking got to meet Pasek and Paul, our favorite writers of Dear Evan Hansen and The Greatest Showman. And look at Pasek and Paul, like, they are living their words. They are doing it. They're being a doer. So what's next for us? We're actually working on a few things. Namely, we're doing a little spring preview of what's on Broadway. You got Frozen, Mean Girls. We're gonna check out Harry Potter.
But next up, we're gonna be checking out the concert version of In the Heights at Pioneer Theater here in Utah. So until next time,
We'll see you then.
we'll see you then.